Hello, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the JMac Podcast. I'm John McMahon, and of course, this podcast is kindly brought to you by yourgarage.com. Use my program JMac Podcast to get 15% off on the website. And tonight, I'm joined by former Limerick manager Billy Lee and former Armagh Cross McGlen footballer Johnny Murtagh to run the rule on the Tailteann Cup Final and, of course, the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship semi-final. So, really looking forward to chatting to the lads tonight. I'll start off with Billy. How are you?
I'm good, John. Thanks. How are you?
All good, sir. All good. Can't complain. Can't complain. The sun's coming down. Johnny Murtagh, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, John. It was, I suppose it wasn't just a weekend of action that we anticipated, but the Tailteann Cup Final now was a good level game. But I think the other two was very one sided. So we'll be looking to hear Billy's thoughts here and be interesting and looking forward to the conversation, John.
Absolutely, Johnny. How was the wedding over the weekend?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. It was I have to admit it was a bit tricky because I had the BBC iPlayer on. I was watching the game, and because it was the only way I could access it because the wedding was in the north. So I was in Kildare Castle for the wedding, and there I was getting the Wi-Fi codes and all, watching the game at the TV. So I was well cleared into the action.
Yeah, it's high time, I think, to get that RTE down the north sorted, I think.
Yeah.
And even folks not being allowed to do the late show votes as well. Oh, look, that's probably a conversation for another time, but definitely a frustration over the years, make no doubt about it. And I suppose we will crack right into the action that took place over the weekend on Saturday, the 12th of July, in the Tailteann Cup Final. It was Kildare 124, Limerick 219 in Croke Park. Billy Lee, an absolutely sensational game in Croke Park, probably the best game of the weekend, and this Tailteann Cup is growing and growing. I think it's time for people to really start jumping on the bandwagon with the Tailteann Cup, make no doubt about it. Billy, your thoughts on this game? No doubt you were in Croke Park.
Yes, we were there. Look, we certainly had opportunities to get over the line, especially after we got the second goal. Funny enough, I met a man at half time, and I felt that if we were going to score a second goal, the later we scored it, the better. I just found that the first goal we scored, it kind of woke Kildare out of their slumber a small bit, and they went on a scoring spree, and I think they went from 2 points down to maybe 5 or 6 up. So we had a couple of chances immediately after that goal, a couple of them dropped short. And I think that might have put them under a bit more pressure. But look, they had the classiest forward on show in Derek Kerwin, 8 points in play. 2 pointers, I think, and 4 singles. So he was a handful, and I thought young McLaughlin, when he came off the bench, added a lot to him as well. He kicked 3 points, a 2-pointer, and a single, and he was involved in a lot of good stuff there, more especially in the last 10-15 minutes. So look, it was an opportunity. Unfortunately, I'd say James Naughton, Emmett Richter, there was carrying knocks into the game. Emmett maybe more so than James. James was probably, on a tight lead. Kildare had him in a tight lead, but Emmett was carrying the hamstring, and hence he was taken off. Look, that's a big dent in us when we have carried someone like that. But look, it was still there, and we nearly pulled it out the bag with the last kick of the game, and it's just a lucky hand from a Kildare defender, put it over the bar.
I suppose, Billy, like the talk going into this game, that Kildare were going to, come home with this trophy, no bother, and get the win, no problem at all. But I think a lot of people maybe underestimated how much of a chance Limerick actually had in this game.
Yeah, but I think last week when we were previewing it, I remember saying that, look, whatever Kildare are going to have to do, they're going to have to play for 70 minutes to beat us, because I know the boys would leave it out there. That's just generally the trend with Limerick football. It's kind of like a big family, and it's not been spoken about, but it's expected that you just give it your all, whatever that takes us, it takes us. So that was never going to be any other way, and that's the way it panned out. Now look, you have to say that Kildare did seem to find the scores a bit easier, and they were a bit more cohesive in it when they were attacking. But I think as a team, we probably showed a bit more than they had. But ultimately, putting the ball over the bar or under the bar is what it's all about. And I think I was looking at it and mapping it a bit along. We had 21 scores from 37 shots, and they had 25 scores from 33 shots. And therein tells the story. We had a lot of possession, a lot of shots, less. So that's an area, and I reflected on a couple of the lads that were involved with us in 2003 and 4, and the Munster final is Kerry, and the story was still the same. So that's an area we as an organisation need to look at how to improve that area, because you can do all the training you want from, but if you can't put the ball over the bar, you're not going to win these tight, big games,
So, Billy, you obviously would have coached and managed a lot of these Limerick lads. Who stood out for you from the Limerick end of things, obviously watching on?
Yeah, well, the half-back line were really good. Each of them scored. I think Killian Ryan got a goal and a point. Ian got a point at centre-back. And Tony McCarthy had a really good first half. He scored 3 points. He won the first half, 2 in the second half. Then he was causing a lot of trouble, but just on the day I wasn't finished with him. He had about 3 or 4 chances that he didn't take. I think we kind of probably struggled a bit around the middle of the field, but mainly the half-back line, the half-forward, I think were our better performers on the day. Peter Nash played well the corner, holding it up, and bringing lads into play. But I would say that probably around the half-back line were our better performers. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
And obviously the Kildare and the things, Billy, like they did get the victory in the end, but what Kildare kind of players stood out for you?
Oh, Derek Kerry was he was key. He kicked some great. I think he got two pointers in the first half. Just beautiful. He's striking at the ball. He's the way he does it. Hugh McLaughlin when he came off the bench was good. Your man Colin Bolton snapped it well with Kevin Feely. He made a couple of big plays in the game in both halves, and they were big plays, and they got scores out of him. And he was strong. He won a number of kickouts in the air as well, so I thought he was solid. But the man, when Kildare were under pressure, the man that held the whole thing together for me was their centre back, Young Highland. I thought he was excellent. He was always available for the quick kickouts, and I wouldn't say they were always quick, but the goalie was always able to find him short, and he just calmed everything down. I just thought he was immense. Look, Derek Kerry got man of the match, and I could understand why that was. But your man David Hyland was just brilliant. Your man Tommy Gill, I think, wing back, was a good footballer. So they were the ones I'd say, but I was really impressed with Young Highland.
Billy, from the Limerick end of things, and we talk about progression and sustainability in football, and it's so important. Like, getting to a Tailteann Cup final is really substantial and big for this Limerick team. And obviously, disappointment not getting over the line. But from where, as I said to you during the week, where Limerick football was maybe 2 or so years ago, just maybe after you left, to get to where you guys are now, it's an exciting winter ahead for lads that are going to be there for next year.
Yeah, without a doubt. We met up with the boys yesterday. They're disappointed, but looking forward to the next year and building on what and trying to get more players through from the academy now. So there's a bit of work to be done yet, and like I was talking to Jimmy earlier today. It's important now that that we're competitive in Division 3. There was great Limerick support up there on Saturday. We'd never have the crowd that the Holland would follow the Holland, but a lot of support on the ground, a lot of support in the stadium. People really proud of them, enjoying the way that they're playing football. It's attractive and it's enjoyable. So look, it's about everyone just trying to buy into it and try and get. There's a couple of lads out there that you'd like to think they might come back, that we could do it. There's a couple more overseas. It'd be great to see if they came back, and there's 1 or 2 around the county that I think might have opted out. Maybe they're trying to make the Holland panel, So it's going to be busy summer for the boys in terms of pulling it all together and what they need to do. But look, they're really happy with the setup they have. They're speaking very highly of all the coaches they have and the way it all is flowing inside there. So look, I suppose over the years, Limerick football has been served by great people, coaching and management, and they've gone on to bigger and better things after they left Limerick football. Keane Hill, prime example. Adrian O'Brien is in with the Limerick Hurlers now. I had him as the SNC, and Donny Buckley was there with Mickey Ned back before he was really known around the place. So we've been very fortunate. They've become great, and I think it seems that we've got really good lads around us again this time.
And Billy, like the Tailteann Cup promotion around it, and obviously the crowd that would have been in to watch that game, like it is so important we keep driving this competition on.
Oh yeah, look, what you see is the competitiveness within the level that the teams are at. There's no two ways about it. The physique and the intensity of the second game compared to the first game was like black and white. I mean, it was just totally different. So teams like us and our equals, okay, you might win a provincial game, but you're not going to be able to get to a chance to play in Croke Park in a big championship match, semi-final or final, and that's what the Tailteann Cup brings. And it was well supported on the ground. There was plenty of Kildare people there, and there was a nice crowd in before the game. And I just think it's important because it gives everyone in every county a realistic chance of getting to a championship final, and it's up to every county then to put their best foot forward in that. But like realistically, if there was only Maguire, it's fair to say I'd never be watching Limerick in the championship final or something for that matter, So it opens the door, gives everyone a chance, and the way the time and effort is going into it now, I think it needs that, because if you're going playing 1 or 2 championship matches and it's a back door and you're paying 10, 12, 15 points, whatever it is, so that's 7-0, and that was the challenge that we would have had over the years and trying to hold on to football. As I said, what is all this for? You're training like a dog for 6 months of the year, and then you're getting your rear end opened. So this gives everything a realistic chance, So I think it's important. And I think games like was played Saturday with the free flow into it, and very little. There was no negative tactics in it whatsoever. Both teams just decided to go at it, and I think people enjoy it now. And I think you 70,000 there yesterday. The match was up 65. You wouldn't have had that last year. You wouldn't have had that last year semi-finals of the Sam Maguire. So I think the rules are enhancing the game now. And then if you can get teams like Wicklow Limerick was on television as well, if I'm not mistaken, and it was nip and tuck, 2 teams that people don't normally watch, and we wrestled back the game, and that game ebbed and flowed. They went ahead, we came back at the goal. They went back ahead, we came back and got the goal. They went back, so it ebbed and flowed, and it keeps people interested, and it wasn't a one-sided affair that you might have if teams like us were in Sam Maguire.
No, like I asked the question in terms of coverage because I know obviously we done our podcast during the week, but you do kind of look around at other kind of media outlets and you do literally see 5 or 10 minutes for the Tailteann Cup. So every player deserves the chance to get coverage. Every manager deserves the chance to get coverage, Billy, and obviously you were intercounty manager for long enough. And I do look around and I'm obviously looking at off the ball and looking at RT, so on and so forth. And I do feel we should just be doing so much more for it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. No, I think Jimmy did a unique piece there, and he was in the exam. Now I haven't read it yet, but some of the lads were telling me he opened the door to Morris Brosnan. Morris would be a good support.
And that was good.
He was unique, and he left him into Morris asked apparently, could he? And they were open, but there was obviously certain stuff that wasn't to go anywhere or whatever, But it was a unique kind of approach to it, and Jimmy's view was to try and sell the product that we have as Limerick football and how we're organised and how we're professional and all this, that and the other. Like the reality though, I suppose, John, is if you take the European rugby tournament, the second one, whatever that is called, no one writes about that, no one reads about that. Unfortunately in sport, no one reads about the championship in soccer as such, or the Division 1. Invariably, media will sell to everyone wants to see what's happening in the top echelons of the sports. Now that doesn't mean they shouldn't write about it, but I say that's a lot of it. But I do think it should be more for the GA. Charlotte Burns did compliment what Jimmy had done, but I think they should be backing it up by getting out there and making sure, however they interact between the media outlets and the GA work to be sure that there's good publicity about the Tailteann Cup, no matter who's in it. Forget about Limerick, and it should be for. Definitely that needs to be there. And I think I see that a bit of that being spoken about in social media by a lot of people, I think you responded to Bernard Casey, didn't you? To tell him that you had done the pre-unit, So,
yeah, well, Kevin Kennedy did. Kevin Kennedy did first. And then I finished it off.
Yeah, and I take it, but look, I suppose they'll come back with some sort of an argument that we won't be, but look, it was the most balanced game at the weekend, most even game as it transpires. We would have thought the other two were going to be balanced, but didn't work out that way. But yeah, look, you should be always promoting it. Look, within Limerick, it was huge promotion for obvious reasons. You know what I mean? How it went down in Kildare, I suppose a lot of people in Kildare might have thought that they're more of a Sam Maguire team. But look, from little trees go big, from little acorns go big trees. They have to start somewhere, So yeah. Definitely my unit, definitely should be promoted more,
Points well made. Billy, any kind of final thoughts on that, Johnny, before we move on to the All-Ireland stuff?
No, look, I agree with everyone he sort of said there. It was a good honest game of football. It could have swung either way. Probably just efficiency let Limerick down a wee bit at key times, but they still had 11 scorers. Like, it's not a bad return, in a good open game of football. And Meath use it as a good springboard as well, So there is teams that can get the reward out of the Tailteann Cup, like Cavan there, But no, look at bit tongue in cheek, but probably one of the things that surprised me, maybe Billy, was that I would have thought McLaughlin would have started after getting man of the match, and he came on as a sub in the semi-final, and he done very well, and he came off the bench again. But a big contrast. Still, I don't know really what's happened to Daniel Flynn. Like, he just hasn't seemed to got to the levels at all that we know that he can seem to get. He got a couple of points in the semi-final. He registered a point there the weekend. Kerry, he only had got 1 point in the semi-final, and he had a fantastic game the weekend. So he really upped the tempo, which we know he can do anyway. But I did sort of suspect that maybe McLaughlin would have started, but look at they got the win, and it worked out well for them. And so he's key coming off the bench. But I probably would have started him after his showings, 5 points in the semi-final, coming on as a sub.
Yeah, he definitely, he was huge when he came in. He was busy. He was good. Daniel Flynn, I'd say, I thought I saw he got on with something with a hamstring or something. Did I see him put up his hand when he fell there in the second half? He had 3 shots in the first half, 1 point. He had a point wide in the second half as well. He had 3 wides, a point from play. But perhaps, Andrew McLaughlin was making the point last week to us that, he's playing within the system now. And maybe that's probably taken from his natural happy-go-lucky spirit of the way he plays football. Maybe the fact he's out in the corner as opposed to in full forward. I don't really know if that's making a difference to his game. He's not as close to the goal. But yeah, he we did 20-year-old on him, young Hassett. I don't think he ever played minor or 20s, new into the squad, but a bit of a dog from what I understand. He'd be, but like Daniel Flynn had 3 or 4 inches in him easily, and with his capability, you might have thought that he'd have done more damage, but it wasn't to be. Perhaps if he's a confidence player, maybe if he got the 2 points from the wides there in the first half, to couple with the one he did, then maybe he might have taken off, But he was relatively quiet. I would agree with you, Johnny. Yeah, he was relatively quiet. Yeah, your man side foot forward was good as well. Cameron obviously, but Alex Byrne I thought was good.
Alex Byrne got a goal and a point, or goal and 2 points. Yeah.
The goal was just class. I mean, he just went in and placed it. Like, I mean, it was a real classic goal. There's something about this guy, and he's not. He's a nice, tall, young lad. He's so he's a future for sure.
Yeah, but it's probably fair to say that, Billy, I think Limerick or Kildare probably needed that win a wee bit more than Limerick just yet, and that's probably the honest end of things where it was at. But it could have swung either way in saying that.
It could have. You could have certainly gone to extra time only for the defender getting his hand in. Look, I said it last week, Johnny. Leinster football needs Kildare back at the top table. I still think they have a bit to go on what I saw on Saturday. Brian has got a bit of work to just do with them to get, to build them and build that inner belief and go where it hurts. They're big, they're strapping young men. A lot of them were able to take in the physicality. They just need to bring it to their game, I think, a bit more, and be more really cohesive as a group. You just never get the sense in Kildare that they're that cohesive, that real part in the sleeve job,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Suppose, Billy, last question. Obviously, you were in Croke Park at the game. Would you miss it, or are you kind of happy with your time with management? You're done.
Oh yeah, look, you see, all these things are nice in the day, but everyone gets the hard work it is and time goes into to get to that day. Look, when you're involved in your life, you'd miss it, okay, but life moves on and there's other things in life, and I just think it's hard to do now when you're working. And I just found last year with Stacks was I didn't realise how important you were, and around the time, but I had to make a decision quite quickly because the season was rolling into the Ballinderry beats, and I just was, my concern was, did I have the energy to go again? And the last thing I wanted to be is not give the group, the boys, what was needed, and equally halfway through the year saying I made a mistake by staying on. So I'd like to stay on, but I didn't know, and it was, you just don't take the risk of the gamble because there's too much involved, and so I said, I had both with the club on the under 16s Limerick and the Salmon, and for my sins then as well, I've helped out with a local ladies football team there. My nieces are playing, so.
Well, you have plenty to keep you occupied.
You've plenty to do, Billy. You've plenty to do. You're not gone yet. You're not. It's an addiction, Billy. It's an addiction.
No, about saying, only when I'm fella put his head into a bag of cats, and he said afterwards it seemed like a good idea at the time. We'll see. We can. How I've been there with him maybe 2 years ago. My first year stacks I was helped out as well, But sure, look, we'll see the crack.
The phone will be ringing, Eddie. Don't worry, the phone will be ringing.
Yeah. He's keeping all the county board. He's keeping all the county boards on their toes with all these jobs going. You wouldn't know. Who knows what the future holds? But Billy, obviously, great innings with Limerick and obviously Austin Stocks as well. So we owe both club team and county team nothing. But obviously, well done to Kildare at the weekend and hard luck to Limerick. And then with the other game on Saturday in the All Ireland Senior Football Championship semi-final, it was Kerry against Tyrone, the old enemies. It was Kerry 120. Tyrone 17 points in Croke Park. Johnny Murtagh, not a game for the ages, not a game we were expecting, unfortunately. Really, really poor second half. Life went out of Croke Park fairly quickly, and Kerry got the job done. Tyrone's efficiency up front needs a lot of work, I think.
Yeah, look at. I'll be honest, I expected a lot more of the Tyrone. I thought they were going to have a real cut at Kerry, but they didn't. They couldn't handle Clifford at all. They couldn't.
Who can?
No, but when he's in the groove, you, like if there's any team that you'd sort of suspect maybe that might be fit to have a good crack at him over the years, would have been Tyrone. But that's a couple of times now that he's really hurt Tyrone on his own, and he seems to have a wee chip on his shoulder as well when he meets Tyrone. I remember him coming on. I actually watched the league game when they played in the league game up there, and he only came off the bench that day, and Jesus, he had a chip on his shoulder, So he seems to be really going after Tyrone, and it means a lot to him. And what a joy to watch, like when he's operating like that. But I tell you what, lads, and I'd say Billy will be agreeing with me. They can say what they want about Kerry maybe missing midfielders and blah, 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 whatever. But Joe O'Connor is one of the best midfielders in Ireland, if not the best, and he is operating at some level. Yeah. The work rate that man goes through, the turnovers he gets, he bombs down through the middle at pace, he's strong. I tell you that, he's a fine footballer. And Kerry are definitely not found wanting in midfield. I tell you that, John, at the minute. And they're a joy to watch. And probably look at, there was only, what was in it, 1-9 to 9 points at half time. And, you're probably saying to yourself, this is going to be a queer second half here. But once the Kerry train started to roll and Tyrone just didn't have any answers, Tyrone had a good enough forward line and everything else. But like we talked about Daniel Kerwin, or Daniel Flynn, in the last segment there. But like Darren McCurry hasn't got to the levels that he is normally capable of getting to. I don't know what it is, whether it's the new rules or what, something's not working for him. So I think if Tyrone's going to get back to any sort of heights, and they do have good players coming through, Malachy's going to have to play in a body of work there now. And look, he's not there that long at the end of the day. But there's a couple of key positions, John, where Tyrone were in a hell of a lot of bother. Gavin White again had another serious game, half back. The whole half back line for Kerry was strong. I was fierce impressed with them, but for a semi-final of an All-Ireland, boys, it really flattered to deceive.
That's first, yeah.
Yeah, and it is a pity. But Billy hit the nail on the head there when he was chatting about the intensity and everything else. When you actually bring pace and power and strength and intensity to it, if you're not fully up for that there with these new rules, you'll be found wanting very, very quick. And that's what happens because Kerry can finish. And we've seen the difference from a team that can finish and a team that couldn't when we speak about the other semi-final as well, John. So that's my take on it. But I tell you, Kerry in full flow, you can say what you want, but it's a joy to watch.
Top class. And I suppose, John, like, could you believe Tyrone at times, like obviously with Malachy O'Rourke and probably one of the best managers in Ireland over the years, like Ryan Porter there involved as well. Could you believe maybe Tyrone in the second half, like, because like some of the shooting was just, I couldn't believe it at times.
I actually think they were found wanting, big time, and like you expected more out of some of the players, like the likes of P.D. Hart, like
Yeah.
a man with massive experience, a man that was instrumental even at club level, and even you look at the forward line on paper that Tyrone has, but they just whatever it is, they haven't clicked, John, not yet on the Malachy and Ryan. So listen, Tyrone has a serious Arsenal coming through. Like they were going for the treble, so the other stuff that's coming, and it might take just a wee bit of time, but Tyrone's not going anywhere, that's for sure. They'll not be far away over the next couple of years. We've seen that with this Kerry team whenever they come through, when they won all them minors. Sometimes it takes a wee bit more time, as Billy knows as a manager. It takes a wee bit more time for the fruits of that labour to materialise, So I wouldn't be too concerned about Tyrone, and I don't really have that many ill feelings about it either.
I know. And it's funny, David Clifford chipping him at 1-9, and I know he was the BBC man of the match, but like I was saying, Joe O'Connor's probably man of the match here today, Johnny, and David Clifford was a joy to behold, and you rightly said Joe O'Connor probably is the best midfielder in Ireland at the minute, but David Clifford, even on like a slight off day, like 1-9 in a game of football is crazy going, and the goal as well, my Jesus.
Well, the difference is that like Joe O'Connor and other county teams, have serious men out the field, and like Highland there, a prime example in the Tailteann and centre half back. There's a prime example of a man. We've seen it with the Donegal man, defender getting man of the match as well. These boys is key, but at the end of the day, when it comes up the other end, you have to finish, and forwards win games, and Clifford is winning games, and that is the difference. And every team can have whatever they want, but if you don't have the stuff up front to finish, and that's what we're seeing, and boy is he finishing, John. Like he's just on a whole different level now here at the minute. He looks lean. He looks to be in the best shape I ever seen him. He's and he has that chip on his shoulder, and he is going after it hard. And as Billy says off the thing about, the Kerry boys are getting a lot of stick down there, and this team particularly, and I go down to Kerry a lot. They've got a lot of stick down there. Okay. But I tell you what, they're battling away, and Clifford and Shawnee O'Shea and these boys, they say in Kerry they haven't lived up to the billings. That Kerry wants to win an All-Ireland every year, But I think these guys is just different level, John, at the minute.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like Jack O'Connor's mind games worked, Johnny.
I think the cute tourism came in, and you probably took Kerry for granted, and that's a serious mistake to make.
Oh my God!
You don't take especially these new rules is built for a football team. You don't take a football team for granted, especially when there's some of the maybe arguably now the best forward of all time. He's in the conversation. He's in the conversation. So when you have a man like that, and you just look at the scores he's getting, he's very hard to contain. Very, very difficult.
But he's such a genius. Like even in that BBC interview he done after, like he said, like Niall Morgan's very dynamic and he can stretch across the goal so easily. And like for Clifford to have the wherewithal, for Hampsey and who was the guy at the Hampsey and was the other defender ran into each other. He dummy bounced Morgan and then he put it into the back of the net. Like you could dedicate a podcast to him.
You could, and even he cut in one side as well one time where he blasted it over the bar with a hell of a lot of power. I was expecting the top corner of that net to rip that time, and he could have had another goal or two, and that's the level that he's at. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like he played against a team there a couple of weeks ago, and probably a couple of months ago at the end of the league, and so we were seeing like he could have come off with 5 goals at one stage, and you're like going to yourself, what's going on here? Like, it's just ridiculous.
He's a freak. He's a freak. Yeah.
And he's so powerful and strong, and I'll tell you another thing, he's a gentleman, lovely
top
fella,
man,
top man, and it's great to see a good family man, and good to see him doing well. Good to see it.
Absolutely. Oh, he's just an absolute genius. Mark Sidebottom's interview with him after, though, I wasn't a big fan of it, Johnny, as you probably well know. I sent it yesterday. Billy Lee, will we just talk with David Clifford or will we talk with Kerry?
It's nearly going hand in hand. And in fairness, Joe, on Saturday, like, look, I've had Joe for 2 years, and I couldn't speak highly enough of this guy. I'd always remind Joe. I'll tell you a funny story. Back in Peter Keane's time, COVID, we played Kerry in the challenge. You couldn't go too far, and we were allowed to do that at the time, right? And Joe was brought in for a trial, and he was at the David Moore midfield. And one of the lads I don't care, the referee was throwing in the ball, and I stood in the middle of the field. I said, Brendan, the referee, I said, Brendan, train the ball there between the 3 Limerick men and 1 Kerry man, because Joe's father's up the road and his mother's up the road here, and the road for me. So I love reminding him of that, to wind him up. But Joe comes in, sits down, shuts his mouth, does what he has to do. No ego, no attitude, no damn all. I mean, he's just a pleasure. And out he goes, and the wall wouldn't stop him. I mean, I'd say that man this year alone has more turnovers single-handedly than most football teams.
Yeah.
He's coming out, and what he's brilliant, that's coming on the blind side and punching it out of fellas' hands. We had a very good S&C with us. He's gone in with the Kerry Hurlers now for the 2 years, and like Joe always go to him to do separate work. I mean, his recovery from his cruciate ligament. His cousins play with my own club here in Limerick, and I got him to come down. He used to travel down to Newcastle. They were playing the championship, and Stacks were out of it in 2023, and he was there in his recovery. Like, I mean, look, I couldn't speak highly enough of the guy. And to me, David Clifford, we hold him to all sorts of kind of standards. He gets 1-9, doesn't get a man in the match award. But the significant part about Joe on Saturday to me was he was in Tyrone's face. We all talk about Tyrone, what they'd be at times. Joe was doing this. He was physically hopping off Kilpatrick. He was down, he was rolling at him. He was chasing like a greyhound is chasing a hare. He was turning up. And significantly for me, that was all in the first 15 minutes when Tyrone were playing lovely, lovely football. And they were playing fast, quick ball into Canavan, and they were getting scores. They went 6-2 ahead. Joe was busting. Anytime they attacked, he was coming out of front and work Joe done. And that's when he was more immense. And then when he got the couple of scores, he lifted the crowd. He come out and the crowd were responding. David Clifford was at that too. You'd have seen footages of that. They were getting the crowd going, and they're going to be serious hard team to stop now. I do rate Donegal big time. I think the best 2 teams are probably in the final at this stage. But I tell you now, Joe's brought a different level. He's gone up another level to what I've seen, and the physicality of that game was just outrageous. It's a start, unbelievable. Like breaking ball. There were fellas going into Sean O'Brien. He's no slouch. He's about 6 foot. He got hurt from Kilpatrick coming off the Cusick stand in the second half. Got the ball coming in field. Momentum drove him into O'Brien and bowled him over. He remembers holding his shoulder for 5 minutes. He went down. I don't know if you saw it. The physios and the doctors had to go into him, and he was holding his hand like that for about 5 minutes afterwards. This was the physicality. Like, Sean O'Brien is no slouch. Do you know what I mean? It was unbelievable. And to be fair, Tyrone, the first 20 minutes, they played some beautiful football. Picking the ball, the breaks around the middle of the field, pass forward, and they were getting into Canavan. I think the big thing came is that when they put Jason Foley and Canavan in, they tied him up. And Canavan kicked some beautiful scores. But they weren't. And I think when Jason Foley went in Canavan, it kind of tied him up. And then McCurry wasn't in the game at all. So he was well marshalled. The going forwards didn't add anything to it. They had enough of ball on the field. I thought Kilpatrick was winning enough ball and driving at them. But they just couldn't see it to hold it up front,
Mm-hmm. I suppose, Billy, looking after the game there, and Matty Downey got the very last kick of the game, and we talk about that minor team coming through for Tyrone, the other 20s team coming around, and obviously Matty Donnelly and the likes of Peter Howard have been incredible servants for Tyrone over the last couple of years, but maybe have we potentially seen the last of Matty Donnelly, Peter Hart to a degree, or what do we think? Because like I looked after the game and he was on the pitch for quite some time, and he was looking around Croke Park and he just looked like a lad that was potentially finishing up, but who knows?
Who was it? Which one was I'd left?
Matty Donnelly.
Yeah, I'd say so. I know that Matty would have worked with the SNC guy, Adrian O'Brien. They'd know each other, and I know that Adrian was helping out. He had a bad injury there some years ago, hadn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, crucial, wasn't it?
Yeah. So look, he was a joke in nothing. He's been a great servant for Tyrone and a serious footballer, you know. So I suppose he'll know where he's finished. Like, I mean, for him to come back after that, and I think that was maybe 4 years ago that injury happened, you know. So, and I don't think he was a spring chicken, didn't like, you know. So, yeah, look, the other thing that I found interesting actually in that game was that McElhone started, obviously, right? But he was midfield for the throw-up. He came over in front of the tunnel as they come out. He was standing there. So I can't remember, was it Kindy was in for the throw-up, and it was McElhone that was on the sideline. Now, I don't know that he stayed there for all the game in the second half or not, but because I couldn't, because he ran out onto the field. Next, he doubled back because it was right in front of me, and he stood on the sideline for the throw-up. So they were shuffling the deck.
I'd imagine, Billy, that was just a tactic that if Tyrone got possession of the kick out that he was on, then he was going to run it hard at Kerry, you know. I'd say they just switched then after that.
I didn't know, because Kilpatrick was definitely midfield for kick out, so I'm not sure what it was. It was, again, a lot of the play was at the other end of the field for the second half, you know. So yeah, I suppose Tyrone will be disappointed, but like Johnny says, they have a lot of talent coming through, haven't they? A lot of talent. They've how many minor titles have they won the last couple of years? They won two or three.
I think they're two or three.
Yeah. And they're winning.
They've won the 20s.
Yeah, at school level.
Yeah.
Up as well, you know. And like Mercy Mount Clark, you have a lot of fast acts playing with Mercy Mount Clark. You had Paddy Lane, Dan Kirby from Thomas Kindy, who's on this, and a couple more of them that you know, proper teams. And this it was Dungannon, I think.
Dungannon,
yeah.
Blew them away 2 years in a row. Like, I mean, yeah, have serious talent coming through.
Oh, loads of it, and they've a serious. But Tyrone's a massive county. They've a massive pick up there, and they've put in a serious work in their centre of excellence as well. You know, so they're well on the way. They have a good setup. Very good setup.
What was it? I just think, was it the minor or the 21? Their midfielders in both minor and 20s seem to be big, strong, athletic, you know, relative to their age at this point in their careers, but they seem to be mobile, tall midfielders. So I don't think they'll be struggling in that area. Obviously, with JMac come through, and there's a couple of more of them on the pipeline. So, yeah, I thought, was it the wing back? I think he got man of the match in the All-Ireland minor final. You could see after 15 minutes, this fella, he's a serious baller. Don't ask me his name now, but I think he was number 5. You see Aiden or something or other. I'm not sure, but he was a really good footballer as well. So they have class.
They have a load of young lads coming, load of good quality players, and you know, very, very strong, athletic. You know, the full package. They have a lot of stuff.
You said a mouthful there, Johnny. Like back 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, I think you know, I could hit the ground running at Inter-County. You know, Gooch started out at 19, Darren O'Sullivan came in, and they were able to go. That's no longer, unless you're a really exception to the rule of David Clifford or of someone at that level, because like Paddy only played 5 years with Kerry. 2020 he joined. What age do you know? 28 or 9?
29, is he? 29?
Would it be? Yeah.
He's 20. Yeah. He's 24 now. There's an argument there that he should have been brought in before that, whatever, I don't know. But like, it's hard, back to your point, to be underage and take them 23, 24 before they start to make the inroads at Inter-County, you know, because of the condition required, the physical nature of it. And that's why it does, back to what Johnny said there about the Kerry minors coming through now. It'll take just time. I mean, Clifford's only about 25, I'd say. Maybe 26.
26, yeah. Frightening.
Like, you give them another 8 years, and sometimes you see with footballers and football teams that when they're at their peak fitness-wise, 27, 28, they maybe do more than early 20s, because in fact the mind's gone with the conditioning. And sometimes, as you've seen that with teams, that they're really more dangerous when they're perceived to have gone over the top, you know. So there's going to be some young fellas coming out. They don't even realise that yet. 13 or 14 was going to be the target. We're trying to mind David Clifford, and he'll have the physique, and he'll have the power and the skill and the experience. My God, that's some ordeal for some young. He doesn't even
He'll
know
have the brain. He'll have the brain, but he's already having nightmares thinking of it.
Oh, God.
It'll be
Probably, John. Sorry, Billy. Sorry.
It'll be an interesting final.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Probably a thing that, John, that like one of the aspects where they are going to have to get a handle on, and it's not. It probably didn't take away from the game because there's only going to be one winner, but I thought Joe McQuillan now had a good enough performance and I see he's tying it up, but let's call it a spade a spade.
I was just about to say best wishes to Joe, and Johnny's going to slate him.
But whether he needs more help in the middle, like they've all the radios, they've all the stuff going on.
Yeah, I know.
Like they've cameras there. There's simple stuff, boys, that's missing the last couple of weeks, and we've seen it not just Joe the weekend, but we've seen it last week, and we've seen different segments of issues, and the GA is going to have to try and get a handle on it. Like it's not. It doesn't seem to be rocket science either. Like. Like there's some of the stuff, like unbelievable. Michael Murphy took a man out below the stand, and everybody in the country seen it yesterday, and he didn't even get booked. He took a man clean out off the ball. Like I don't know. Like it's baffling some of the stuff that goes on. And listen, I'm all, me, John. I'm all for a good, hard, honest game of football. But there's certain things that's not been picked up. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have to say, on Saturday, I didn't see him soft to any acting the maggot on Clifford. I just thought he tried to handle him like, a good honest back 1-1. I saw no dragging out. I'm sure David Clifford might tell me something different because he experienced it, but there was nothing noticeable. Pulling and dragging, acting the maggot. There didn't seem to be any of it. A good, honest, physical battle is what I saw, and respect to young Hampsey for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He did. He tried to battle him, honest. You're right. That's a mistake he made.
he tried to defend and geez, lads, I don't know what to do with him, but after, I suppose, Johnny, you do make good points about maybe with the officiation that is going on at the minute, but obviously the very best of wishes to Joe McQuillan as he hangs up his whistle. The Tyrone Kerry was last game over the weekend, so the very best of luck to Joe McQuillan, and on he goes to the club scene, and no doubt he will prosper at that. And then the last game of the weekend, lads, it was yesterday in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship semi-final. It was Meath 15 points, Donegal 326 in Croke Park. Well, Billy, this was a walkover in the end, unfortunately, for Meath. Don't get me wrong, great year for Meath. Obviously beating the Dubs, beating Galway, beating Kerry, but coming up short yesterday. This Donegal machine is absolutely flying, Billy, and on the go to an All-Ireland final in 2 weeks' time against Kerry.
Yeah, it's a game I didn't see much because by the time the Limerick footballers had arrived into my brother's place, I got caught up in the socialising side of it. But from what I saw of it, Meath were inefficient. And look, Donegal, like when they turn you over, they're going at a pace that the very few teams are able to handle. And the thing I see with Donegal is they're scoring from everywhere. They cannot score. So you try and shut down one player, the other 3 or 4 pop up. You try and shut down them, someone else comes up. Like they seem to have a lot of strings to their bow from an execution point of view. But I did find it interesting. What they scored, 325?
326, yeah.
And the goal, and the cornerback gets man of the match.
Yeah,
that
interesting.
I didn't see the game, but that was he. Obviously, did he score? I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. But look, they're going to. David Clifford might find as much space against Donegal that he did against Tyrone because of the way they set up and play. And it'll be an intriguing semi-final or final, that's for sure. But look, I think Meath have a good year overall, but they'll be disappointed. There's no question. Not so much losing, but probably not performing to the level they'd want to, and that'll be it's bad enough losing, but did not perform to where they'd hoped to perform and make it tight. Their form got into to be at the top three in the Roll of Honour. Their form was quite good from that point to beat Kerry, in the qualifier. So look, only they'll know what led to that. It's definitely not their true form, and I think we can all agree on that. Maybe they're not in the top four in the country yet. But it'd be good to see him move back up the pecking order and within Leinster anyway, to try and make it competitive again,
And Billy, obviously, all about the intercounty management scene. Robbie Brennan has done a remarkable job. Obviously, Colin O'Rourke there the last couple of years. Robbie came in this year. We know about obviously the backroom situation, so on and so forth, and the ins and outs of this year. But it can't be stressed how good of a job he has done with them. And like Meath always had these players, and I was told about that under-20 team. It's really come into fruition. Yes, there wasn't today, but my Jesus, they have a lot to build on.
Yeah, did they not win an All-Ireland minor there not too many years ago? And were they in 2 finals? Yeah, so they have the talent. Look, Robbie Brennan's record proved he won an All-Ireland with Kilmacud. Whatever happened in the background, I didn't hear anything or whatever, during the year with the 2 boys left. But he's proven himself. There was no major sing and dance. There was no noise. He just kept his head down. He kept doing. The boys decided they wanted out, fine, whatever reason, and he just kept his head down and worked. And he knows what it takes. And look, I've no doubt he'll be disappointed after yesterday as well, But you'd have to respect what he's done and what he's got. And I'm sure there's more to come from Robbie Brennan. I imagine they'll be disappointed by his out as well. But that should just give them fuel to drive them on in the off season and go at it hard again. But you'd have to respect the job Robbie Brennan has done, and I've no doubt there's more to come from them.
Absolutely, Johnny. Your thoughts on the Donegal and Meath game?
Yeah, look, it was a one-sided affair. They took Michael Murphy off at 20 minutes ago. The game was up at that stage, which is remarkable to be fit to say that in a All-Ireland semi-final. But look at Meath, the first half, they had chances after chance after chance, and they just couldn't execute them. And they needed to hit Everton to have any chance in this game, because Donegal's a very well-oiled machine. I was very impressed with them in a lot of different departments. I thought they were excellent. A lot of pace. O'Donnell with pace and Murrow with pace, and there's boys coming from everywhere. They have a good, strong defence. There's boys who can get up the field. They're very, very fit. The fitness out of some of them now. In fairness to me, they got a couple of big turnovers on them in the first half, and you seen a wee bit of something. But once the game started to stretch, that was it. And very quickly, Donegal put up an awful score when Meath was just kicking wides. So it's going to be a serious final. I'm really looking forward. I think they are the 2 best in the country at the moment, and I'm really looking forward to the final. I don't think anybody can really have very many complaints really about the 2 that's in the final. We were found wanting ourselves against Kerry, albeit a bad performance, but they put us away at ease. And they've done the same again the next game. Like Donegal, who bet us after extra time to win Ulster, and then they've won a semi-final very, very handy. So it's going to be a very intriguing final that I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully getting to it, John. But look at probably what more can we say? Robbie Brennan's done a fantastic job. I think he was very unlucky. Obviously Louth had a big axe to grind in the Leinster final, but as Billy alluded to there, like Leinster badly needed a Meath and they badly needed a Kildare and these guys back at the top table to really push on. And I can see Dublin. I'd imagine if I had to call it, I'd imagine Dublin's going to regroup now as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big sting in them over the next couple of years. They still have a lot of talent there. And I'd suspect maybe Declan Darcy would probably get the gig, and he's going to have a couple of good coaches in with him. That's what I would be thinking.
Where'll Ger Brennan go then?
Well, from what I know, Jared Brandon's gone to St. Vincent's to
Okay.
manage the club team.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Right.
So that's what I suspect is going to happen. That Declan Darcy probably get the job.
Are Vincent's as strong as they were years ago to Johnny? Is that a work job worth taking on?
Oh yeah, like Vincent's, they've massive pedigree there in Vincent's, and I tell you, any time you beat a Vincent's team in a championship game, you know it. So they've always have good players coming through there. They're a well-run, serious club, and I think he's done a real good job in Louth, and I think he's a good coach. I just think the Dublin job probably coming a bit early for him in his career. I think a job of that caliber, I think he'd be happy enough maybe taking it in a few years down the line, and stuff like that, So
Yeah.
he's learned, he's applying his trade very, very well, and I've been very impressed with him. I think he's going to make a good manager down the road, at top inter-county manager. So look at it's been a fantastic year for him. He's done real well, but Robbie Brandon as well is an excellent manager. So it's good to see these guys coming through and doing a good job. And obviously Robbie has experience as well with Kilmacud, and he's done very well with a Meath team. Like, they got Meath to an All-Ireland semi-final, albeit they just didn't perform on the day. But they had a couple of key injuries as well, and probably Conlon was a big miss for them in there.
Menton going off too, or was it Kyogan who went off? Yeah, Menton.
Yeah. Menton went off injured, and so, and he was very important to coming back in the scene for me, So look at the three or four injuries that I was calculating up, and they probably needed all them, John, against a fast, experienced Donegal team that. But look, it's all about stepping stones at the end of the day, and there's good hunger there in Meath. There's a good bit of hype has come around this game. There's a wee bit of bullshit went on in the middle of the year, and boys left backroom teams, and they said it was going to be a fiasco, and they regrouped, they put their head down,
and that's the most impressive thing. That's the most impressive, yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Very, very impressive, and the bullshit went out the window, So, listen, I can only tip my hat to him. I think Robbie's done a good job, and I'll be hoping he stays, because Meath's going to need a bit of stability there. And
I think he will.
Yeah, well, hopefully he does, and I'd like to see them for Leinster football at least being a lot more competitive there more often. So I'd expect the Leinster Championship now the next couple of years to be very hot and heavy. But yeah, I think Dublin could be dangerous coming down the line, to be honest. But yeah, tip me hat to Meath.
I suppose last thing on it, Johnny. Sorry, Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say about Robbie Brennan, which you like to see in a person, when they made progress this year, he remarked on the work that Colin O'Rourke had done. So this isn't about Robbie Brennan. He's not making it. This is about me. And when whatever happens, he just put the jersey first. He didn't get into any shenanigans with the coaching and what happened or whatever. He just put his head down. He's working. He's there to do his best job for me. I think they've got a really good man in this guy, and proof of the pudding is in the eating, and the fact that he complimented Colin O'Rourke, and that was nice to see. That was nice to see, because everyone does a bit of work, and everyone's work contributes to the progress of any jersey. And I just, some people get caught up in their own ego and they wouldn't reflect on the previous manager. But this man was big enough and honest enough to say that and wanted to say it. So said it, and I think that says the measure of a man. You've got a genuine character in the dressing room, and you can be sure the players will want to play for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, Johnny, the brass tacks of it is Meath 9 wides in the first half going in against that Donegal team. You have to be efficient, and a lot of people are saying they're mad for the 2 pointers, and maybe they were, but they'll have a lot of regrets. But look, this is a serious Donegal team too, Johnny.
Yeah, but look at it. Billy alluded to it in the first segment. We were talking about the Tailteann Cup Final and everything else. The level, it's just a whole different level that you need to be operating at. And these top teams in Ireland with experience, they're on a whole different level. And Donegal is one of them teams, and they've just not let you away with it. Real good teams will punish you when your sufficiency is down on a day, or we things aren't going your way. The good teams will really, really punish you, John. Or kicking a couple into the goalkeeper's hands, they'll go straight up the other end of the field and punish. And that gives them the lift. That's what they look for. Or a big turnover like we seen with O'Connor, Joe O'Connor, big turnover, carry down the field, big score. These are the things that the big teams will do and they'll punish. So it's a lot of learning curve as well for Meath players, especially taking on a juggernaut like that. Guys, a lot of guys there with All Irelands, Jim McGuinness and All Ireland winning manager. It's just a different kettle of fish, as the man says. So I think they can take an awful lot out of it and learn and take that and move forward and try and spring another couple of surprises into strengthening their panel then for next season. When one thing about Meath, you have to be fierce impressed with the size and physicality of them. Like, they're a big, lean outfit as well, and they've a couple of serious footballers there. They just didn't hit the heights that we know that they can. But I think they're back, John. I think absolutely. I think they can take a lot from it. And there's going to be a lot of learning curves from it. And look at. We're talking there about managers and jobs and the effort went into Meath over a couple of years and Colin O'Rourke and that. Absolutely. Like, it took Geezer 10 years to build an Armagh team, and there was after a couple of years and all the shenanigans that went on early doors there with Meath, and next thing they got themselves to the last four in Ireland, when nobody was giving them a shot at, they can probably take a lot of credit and one of the biggest things you'll actually learn is the performance in Galway. That was a massive win for them. And I think that gave the whole county a lift. I was talking to Meath people there after the game because we were on as well and after and they couldn't believe it. They were absolutely delighted and they says regardless of what happens in the semi-final, this is a good year for Meath. So that's the way they were talking and it was good to see that. So I think they can take a lot from it, John.
Absolutely. And obviously with these new rules, it gives a lot of counties chances. And who would have thought Meath getting to an All-Ireland semi-final? But even to see the Meath supporters back, and they're slowly up the road from here, they're passionate about their football. There's a great history. There's a great tradition. And there's even a sports shop owner, Jack Kernan there. I think he's 81 years of age and he got back to the games and he was doing interviews after the game. And it's great for even his shop. And, it really keeps the spirit alive, Billy.
Yeah, anybody ever what he did above and I know thought Kieran over the years, like the job he had to do in the background. So it's one thing getting the team right, but you've got to get the background, the county board to think more, bring up their standards to rise the team in terms of preparation and all that. So it's not just the panel of players you have, there has to be more stuff going on in the background. There's phenomenal work, and obviously Kieran did that, but it took a year and year in building, and then he went and got staff, and he got McKeever from Derry, he went out and got the best and made it work. And, to people buy into that and Johnny is a better place than I am, there's financials involved in that, so they get everyone to think differently. So, it's great to see Meath back, but I guarantee you Robbie Brennan is in the background and he's working hard on the ground with the county board to improve things and bring it up another level again, And, and you see this, it's never just what you're doing on the training ground. There's all the stuff going on in the background trying to influence people and change culture and change, because Meath had to come up where they were, and maybe Colin O'Rourke might have done a bit of that led on to this, but there's a lot going on in the background, and I know that Kieran did that in 3 and 4 or 5 years ago, that has led what manifested in 2024 and last Sunday in July, But it's great to see him back. I think football needs back. I look at it and I think you've awfully going to be coming on. I think David under 21 team winning All Ireland not too many years ago. Westmeath, they've all got good football teams. They should be more competitive. You've got Louth at the table now. Louth's a small county. Maybe they don't have the strength and depth that might take them on for years and years and years, that they'll be that competitive. But it's great to see them up there and what journey they're going to win Leinster. And if we Kildare and Meath back in it, it'd be great to see that. It's really competitive stuff up and over the years Wexford that came to the table and Wicklow were in the semi-final, probably would feel aggrieved that they didn't beat us in the semi-final. So look, I think football in Leinster needed that over what happened the previous 20 years. It was just Dublin turn up and teams aside. And so, look, it's great that these teams are coming back, and there's obviously a lot of work being done on the ground. And look, long may that continue, you know.
Yeah, points well made, Billy, without a shadow of a doubt. And very last thing, gentlemen, obviously the managerial merry-go-round is well underway, and Paddy Talley has stepped away from the Derry senior footballers, and Oisin McConville has pledged to stay on with the Wicklow lads. So obviously good to see that bit of stability for Wicklow, but not great news for Derry. Johnny?
No, and probably a wee bit surprising on a lot of fronts. You know, like he was only there one season, even though it's been a poor year for Derry, but still, after the issue they had in getting a manager in the first place, Jesus, you wouldn't want to be looking for another one. But you wouldn't know. Billy might fancy a wee handy drive up to Cavan there, or you might be staying in JMac's attic.
Come on down, Billy. We'll take you.
But there's any amount of jobs.
It's a great time to be looking. It's a great time to be looking. Yeah.
And well, we said it, and even off air, like Billy knows that the level of commitment is gone through the Richter scale. Like it's unreal, and it's not just now. Even at club level, a manager's not going to cut it now. You need to have your strength and conditioning sorted. You need to have a good coach. You know, you need to be ticking all these boxes and finding all these guys. And I tell you another thing, a problem, and I said it, JMac, I said it to you last year. A massive problem that clubs is finding, and I can call it split season, whatever they want, but it's not really. What a lot of clubs is having problems now is that good county setups have that many men involved in them that it's then come the club level where the calibre of club man is not available then. And then clubs is having a massive problem. A massive turnover in clubs trying to sort out a manager as well, because you have so many now involved at county level. Yeah. Like, you know, we seen with yourselves, John, like you needed another bus to carry all yours.
Kev said a great one there last week. Oh Lord, go on.
You know, but
maybe not next year. We'll have to see what comes next year.
All God on the side, but you know, it is.
Well, if Billy takes the Cavan job, who knows?
Billy knows him. Billy knows himself, and Billy'd have his old faithful, you know, guys that he worked with before, and reliable and trust, and you know, number twos and number threes and coaches. You know, it's a big operation, and as Billy said there about the county board, very important. Like Meath and Robbie's, that's Robbie's going to have to do now. Make sure that they're all singing off the one hymn sheet, and it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult, and it's very difficult at clubs. I've coached a few clubs, as you know, John, and I prefer the coaching than the management. But it's very, very difficult because you have assholes everywhere, and they want to put input. They want this, they want that, and it can only be a committee member. But everybody, you have to be so careful, and it's everybody has to be singing the one hymn sheet, and it's difficult.
It's managed, but Billy, you know better than anyone else. But like, it's managing people, it's expectations, it's results. Like it's a
huge. Look, you're managing people all the time. Whether, like, there was times I used to give interviews after games. Sometimes I was talking to the players, or maybe the county board, or the supporters, or whatever. You know, you took every opportunity to influence or tell a story that was going to benefit the group somewhere along the line. Now I know from talking to Jimmy over the weekend, like that, he said that he already knows in terms of going back in next year. He knows the second man from Gio, right? So we've every county, you have Anne and you have your Gio. Jimmy now feels the second one for the amount of stuff. So 2 men just for Gio, you know. It's just gone to a level like.
Well, me and Johnny could do that for Limerick. That's all we probably could manage, Johnny.
Yeah, well, Billy, I've been in Adair Manor an odd time, so if you want to put me up in Adair Manor, I'll happily stay there in Limerick.
I'll carry the water, Johnny. You do the gear.
We see what we can work out for you. But like, where's it going to stop? Like,
I know.
Busy. Everyone is fully active, but you know something, lads. The very simple fact of the matter is, the team that puts the ball over the bar most wins the game. The more it changes, the more it's the same. And like I had conversations this evening with Stephen Levin, like Johnny, you probably played against Stephen with Limerick, he's out of the academy now. And I said, we've got to do something different, because the reason we didn't win at the weekend was the same reason we didn't beat Kerry in 2003 and 2004. I was involved with Liam at the time, got me a good team. And nothing has changed in those 20 years. Right. So we need to do something. So the point I'm making is you can have all this training, you can get fellas to transition and defend and all this. It doesn't matter if you're not putting the ball over the back. And that's
couldn't agree more, Billy. Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Working from the opposition goals backwards, but most teams now are working from their own defence forward. But it's up the other end is where it all matters. And I know that like with the Limerick set up, the boys do all of the different areas. Good lads inside there, but not so many years ago, I couldn't get a coach. And I remember saying to Brian Begley, I said, Brian, you're going to coach this team. But I said, I have to be seen to go out and try and get, I knew my hand so I wouldn't get it because we were so poor. And people had, but look at the job Brian did. And it's back to this merry-go-round we talk about the managerial jobs now. People want to join, but everyone's looking at what have they done before. We're slow to give people opportunities based on the fact that they've done nothing. They've trained teams. They've done a good job at training teams. Okay, they might have enough talent in the club to be successful. That doesn't mean the coach or the manager isn't doing a good job. And like, it's no surprise Jack O'Connor and Jim McGuinness have already won All Irelands in 2 different stints. And both counties went back to that. And, if Jack decides to go, whatever he decides to do, I don't know, but guarantee you Eamon's name will be thrown into the mix behind Kerry again, a former manager. We seem to be going.
All Ireland, yeah.
Paddy Telly was with Down, Paddy was with Kerry, he was with Tyrone, we don't seem to, we're slowly giving other people chances. But at the end of the day, there's plenty of capable people out there. You take Joe Brennan, he was in Carlo with Niall Crew as coach, I think. Was it with Niall?
I think he was, yeah.
I think he was in as a coach, yeah.
Yeah.
Managed Louth.
Yeah.
He's gone back. So like, to me, he's gone out to see what it's like outside of different things, challenge himself. Now he's going into to manage a club team, and I'm sure his view is trying to see what's on the ground in Dublin if he's considering going up the next level. Do you know what I mean? So look, he's just put himself out and about, and he's got obviously he's saying what he needs to how to go about it. But I just think we should be looking to give other people opportunities out there and not be afraid. Funny story about Jimmy. Jimmy's never been involved in the football team in his life up to 5 years ago. Never, ever. Jimmy's background is is HR masters, and my other brother Joe and Stephen Kelly wanted to coach Newcastle, but none of them wanted to manage. So Joe said to Stephen, I'll tell you what, no, I have a man. So they popped it off of Jimmy. Jimmy went to managing. That was 5 years ago now. So, like, no experience.
He got himself primed, essentially.
Yeah. He did. Like, the only experience Jimmy had was, and there's a lot of experiences, managing in jobs, the HR man.
Exactly. And that poor Joyce does something similar, doesn't he? I think.
Well, the manager knew how to manage people.
Managing people, yeah.
You'll begin to see this. Managers, because we never know who the manager of the Irish rugby team is, because he's the manager doing all the other stuff, and the coaches are the head people. You know what I mean? And I think you're going to see a lot of that in like Jimmy's brought in good lads who know what they're doing. Okay, he oversees and he manages and all this, that, and the other. He lets them at it, and he does the hiring and firing. Then and I think we'll see a bit more of that, because we've got to find ways to get people involved, to be able to and give people opportunities. But that's Jimmy's story about football.
Yeah,
and like.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Must come on the pod some night. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is people out there who can do a good job and can add a lot to a county.
Yeah, and it kind of feeds
in. Billy, we can't forget one thing either, Billy. You can only dance with the girls that's in the dance hall.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important that Oisin staying with Wicklow, lads. Stability, Johnny Murtagh.
He's done a good job, yeah. I think Oisin will be quietly pleased about how he's got on. I think he's done well, and he's well got up there, and he seems to really buy in. Like, one thing about Limerick, to wear the heart on their sleeve, and anybody doesn't know that, you just want to take a wee spin up to Auckland anytime and see how you get on in the game and I played in it. It's an unbelievable place to go. So look, Ashin has really bought into it, and he's still applying his trade too. I think he could easily walked away there and sure. Look at the amount of gigs it's up. I'm sure he would have been offered something, but I've been impressed with him now. I think he's done a good job. So I wish Ashin the best in the next couple of years, you know.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I was reading his commentary after the Limerick game, and you'd have thought, you know, but it was great to see him go back to Wicklow. He obviously feels he's building something there. And of course, his commentary after the game was probably out of disappointment, maybe, even though, you know, is he living above in Cross all the time, Johnny?
Yeah.
There's a bit of a trek there coming across the M50 there, not even making your way out to Wicklow to train, you know.
Wouldn't be easy, no.
It can't be easy, but, you know, he's obviously made roots there, and he finds there's something there to do and to build on, and, you know, it's a credit to him that, because he could have gone for the Louth job. Didn't he manage Dundalk IT not too many years ago? And Cavan is only over probably nearer to him than Wicklow. So it says a lot about the person too, you know, that jumping ship and moving away, he's built something and he wants to see the fruition. And I think that's what Joe, is it any surprise? This is Ocean McConville we're talking about, you know?
Yeah. Because realistically, lads, you could have got most jobs. Like, that's the reality of it.
100%. Yeah, and like
he definitely would have. Yeah, definitely would have been offered a good job, like a serious football man, you know. So
like Tony McEntee. Tony McEntee, be interested to see where he ends up. Absolutely, the Mayo job's going to be interesting as well. Well, lads, thanks a million. That was absolutely fantastic. Of course, this podcast is kindly brought to you by orgretch.com. Use my promo code JMac Podcast to get 15% off on the website. Former Limerick manager Billy Lee, thanks a million, and former Armagh Crossmaglen footballer Johnny Murtagh, thanks a million. Lads, have a great week.
Thanks very much, mate. Talk to you soon.